This is I'm Harry's mum, and as you know, we had the court date on the 28th when he got sentenced. An hour before we went into court, we had our impact statements. These were signed 2 weeks before the 28th, and our own QC took, I don't know whether you can see because it's writing's quite small, a whole page out of our impact statement, as well as out of his cousin's impact statement and his aunt's impact statement. And I'm just going to read what was left out of the impact statements. I'll start off with 2 lines before we come to a few words that were important words that were taken out, and then I'll carry on to the bottom to carry on the whole page. And I'll start it with, we will never see him drive a car on the road, grow into an adult, maybe in time get married, have a family, we will never be grandparents. All this has been caused by that worthless person in the dock who couldn't care less. We had those 2 piece words taken out, and then I'll carry on to the start the full page that was taken out. Would the court agree that the sentence should reflect the severity of the crime and then times it by 3? That defendant does not serve a free life or to be able to do things our boys can no longer do. Hopefully his existence will be a miserable one, and one where he is incarcerated till his dying day. This sentence and nothing else will fit the crime. All this unbearable pain and suffering has been made far worse, if that is possible, by the callous way the police have handled this matter. This was just another job to them. It was not one of their children lying there on that road that freezing night. The crime scene was treated with compliancy, with a total disregard for the lives of our children and lack of respect for them, as well as us, their parents. We were never told anything for several hours, yet my daughter, whom we left at home, knowing exactly what happened to her brother within 15 minutes after the tragic train of events. Valuable evidence was lost or never retrieved due to the slack approach of the police. An eyewitness who saw the passenger retrieve a bag from the vehicle and absconded was never sought or interviewed. This was a crime scene, but it was never treated as one. No searches done for the boys' belongings, no visible forensic evidence being sought or taken. This significant road should have remained closed until at least daylight, so a thorough search could be made and the area cleaned properly. This was never done, and the road was opened within a few hours after the incident and way before daybreak. Motorways are closed for a whole day for a simple traffic incident, sometimes both carriageways. Here we had 3 young lives snatched from us by a callous, worthless lowlife that ever walked this earth. The police investigation, or lack of it, was a shambles from the beginning to end. Sheer incompetence, it was a comedy of errors and a catalogue of missed opportunities, cover-ups to an extent the whole truth and facts were never disclosed to us families. We, the 3 families, had all this to deal with as well as grieving for our boys. We've had to do our own obvious investigations, We then inquire if the police have done the same, and inevitably the answer is no, or we will have to find out. We have done their job for them, as well as instructing them as to what they should have done and what needs to be done. This has had a great impact on us, together with the grief we are trying to deal with. The full story will come out in good time. The police have tried to suppress us families. They want to keep everything below the water for fear of making waves, undoubtedly because of the nationalities of the driver and passenger. This will never be allowed to happen. This was never to be allowed to happen by us. We will make the biggest waves possible to get justice for our boys and our families. If the boot was on the other foot and the driver was white and the three boys were Asians, all hell would break loose from that community and the race card would be produced. The police would not be so keen to suppress them. We have all just buried our beloved, beautiful, handsome boys, a testimony to the popularity. One only has to see the crowds that came to the funerals. This was covered by every TV station, every newspaper in the country, as well as international media coverage. The nation's shock can be clearly seen on social media, because we want to expose the flaws and discrimination against the true citizens of this country and not be treated as second-class citizens. The media will be with us every step of the way to cover the inevitable fight we will have on our hands in the coming weeks, months and years if need be. That piece of trash in the dock and the absent passenger have caused us all this grief. This is our life sentence. The driver has never shown any remorse, but then why should he, as this was a deliberate act? He pleaded guilty because the evidence was stacked against him, also because he was advised to in order to receive a reduced sentence. My advice would him to remain in prison for the rest of his worthless life. We the families do not ever want to hear anyone refer to this as an unfortunate accident. This was no accident. An accident is where somebody makes a misjudgment during a legitimate manoeuvre. No attempt was made to use the brakes or make any slight correction on the steering wheel. The death toll could quite easily have been 8, possibly even more, if he had collided with an oncoming vehicle. It was by the grace of God that no further lives were lost that day. The driver made himself culpable. He put himself in that position, and we have no doubt that it was a deliberate act, either racially motivated or terror related. This was not just guesswork or hearsay. The full facts will come out when the time is right. The other fact of this case that makes matters even worse for us and quite unbearable is I've not slept since knowing Harry, Josh and George were gone. This was what was taken out. And that their killer is only looking at getting convicted by death by dangerous driving. He should be getting 3 life sentences, one after the other, that is what Harry, Josh and George's family are now facing due to this man's recklessness. This was what was taken out of my nieces. And the same with his aunts. This is what was taken out, word for word. Unless he gets 3 life sentences to run consecutively, the 3 boys' lives would be made to look as if they were worth nothing. This man does not deserve to have any kind of life. He has deprived Harry, Josh and George of their lives. The 3 families, their extended families and friends, are all serving life sentences. I pray justice is done for the boys and their families. And you call that justice from our own British justice system, that we are not allowed to say those things to something that has done that to our families.